Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Wolfi's Talks today with a very special guest, and I'm really, really excited to speak to him, Andy Schleck. So welcome, Andy. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, appreciate for thinking of me.
Yes, no, for sure, for sure. Before I start, I want to kind of give obviously people a bit of a background, what you have achieved. And it's always, I think, a nice thing, and I think it puts smile into people when I read them, the achievements. You have been winning the Tour de France in 2010. You were runner-up 3 times in the white jersey, and there was only Jan Ullrich who achieved the same. You were runner-up in Giro Italia, winner of Liège-Bastogne-Liège, national time trial, and road cycling champion of Luxembourg. You were part of the CSC team, Saxo Bank, from 2005 to 2010, and in Leopard Trek from 2011 to 2014. And now you own one of the best bike shops, you say, in the world in Luxembourg. So thank you very much. And I think this is just an amazing career you had.
It's not a very long career, I have to be honest. I was professional 11 years. So basically from 2004 on until 2015, where I had to finish my career, stop my career due to an injury. Unfortunate, a bit too early, but still, I believe I achieved quite a lot in these years. And when you're a pro athlete, especially in cycling, you don't have a 20-year career. At the stress level, and the it's always, that high, and that intense. The sport is that intense, that normally a career from a pro cyclist, is between 8 and 12 years. So I count myself average. People always said that I was too early, that I was young to retire. But, honestly, I started, I was professional with 19 years old. I hardly had a whole year as another 23, so started very young. So that's why, I had to stop due to an injury when I crashed in the Tour de France stage number 3 in London. I had 4 knee operations and, didn't recover 100%. And if you want to be a pro athlete on the level I was riding, you need to be 100%, of course. And that's why I decided then to make something different. And I had a different orientation from 2015 on.
Very nice, very nice. You were part of the CSC team, and I thought at the time that was one of the coolest teams ever. And I think it just changed the whole thing. I think the bikes were cool. You had cool jerseys. I think the whole story with these military style training camps and team building camps. So you were part of all these team camps with Bjarne Riis and so on. How did you remember that?
It was, one of the most one of the experience in life, you face different challenges in life. And we always did this survival camp in November, December months, where we were put out in the wild. We did it in Denmark, where it was bloody cold. We did it in South Africa, where it was really hot. We did Tenerife, we did Norway, Denmark again, and Lanzarote. So always really different challenges, but basically, it was only 5-6 days long, but the experience you get out of that, the team really melted together, in these days, and it's something which I still, think back today, and definitely something I can just recommend, companies, cycling teams to do that, because you go on the races, you go on the edge with your team. And in these survival camps, you really learn to the value of everyone. You really learn that that you take care of your teammates, that they are longer there for you. You don't necessarily need to be the strongest, but in the survival camp you need everyone. And that was part of the secret why this team was so successful. We came out on the start line, as an army, as a Navy SEALs, and fight it to the race. And, that's why, people loved us and loved the team, because we were really united and not just a bunch of colleagues riding together, but really a family. And that was, definitely a big part of that success was the survival camps we did every year.
Yeah, and I can really tell you, it really worked from a spectator point of view and from a fan. It was special, yeah. And I think obviously the mix of riders you had and everything, I think that was a really, really cool to view from the outside. I want to take you back at the beginning. You had a household full of accomplished cyclists. I think your grandfather was a cyclist. Your father was an unbelievable cyclist. Did the Tour de France 8 times and was support riding for Jan Jansen, Luis Ocaña. So I think this is quite amazing. So then obviously your brother Frank was in the house. How was this growing up in the Schleck's household?
Yeah, when I realized that, I realized quite late that my dad was actually a good athlete. I remember, I went to school and my dad is not a...
Oh no, we lost you. Can you still hear us? Sorry for this. I know that the internet connection is not. Yeah, now you're back. Now you're back.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, we lost you. We lost you with your father. That you didn't realize that he was. You went to school and then you realized that he was one of the professional. He was a professional athlete.
Yes, I went to school and I somehow the teacher, they said, oh, this is one of the Schleck's son, is the youngest one. But I never realized until my auntie one day, she gave me like a complete, like a cooling box, an old cooling box full of articles. And I started reading to it, And yeah, somehow I asked my dad, so what's going on with you? Like, why are you in all these newspapers? And yeah, he told me that at the time that he think I was too young to see all this, because
Okay.
he wanted me to, choose my own path and don't follow any path he led,
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely I would not say from that day on, but I believe, I had it somewhere in the genes. I rode my bike my whole life, I did a lot of different sports and then, I grew into it. I followed the Tour de France and all the other races on TV as a teenager. And, I had this dream and thought for it and realized, then 2004, turn of 2005, I realized, to become a pro. But then you're a pro, then basically you were a good under 23, a good junior rider, a good under 23 rider, but then you become, a professional, and then, you start from zero again, because if you go to the big guys, and you were the biggest from the youngest, then you are, you start from zero again. And yeah, that was the beginning of, I would say, my career.
When you were a little boy and you were racing, who was in your head when you were racing? You were playing a character, you had somebody you were looking up to?
Yeah, while we played in the street, there was always someone. Someone was Miguel Indurain, and the other one was, Tony Rominger, or someone else. These characters we saw on TV. Yeah, so basically, I was Indurain.
Okay, very good, very good, fantastic. Did you have a dream bike when you were a little boy and you couldn't get it because it was kind of unaffordable, or you had something you were dreaming of to get a bike?
Yes, there was a bike. I mean, we are three boys. We were 3 boys at home, so all 3 of us we rode bikes, and not just one bike, but we had a road bike, a mountain bike, and my dad, he's not we are good off, but he's not a rich man, so we couldn't really afford, to buy us the nicest stuff and the best bike. But I remember I was dreaming of Klein.
Yeah, I remember.
Klein, yeah, one of the first bikes who had the straight fork in this pearl white color. That was like my dream bike, which unfortunately I never rode it because it was always out of our budgets. But yeah, then once you turn pro, you go from the average stuff just to the top end in. One day, here's your bike, your shoes, carbon soles, carbon frame, carbon wheels for training. That was quite, at the time, quite already, I went home with a smile on the face. A suitcase full of clothes, a suitcase, with 2 pair of shoes, with all your gear, which, just a year before I had, to take care. Where do I get this stuff all from,
Yes.
Carbon wheels for training. That was never like even I didn't even have carbon wheels for racing, but suddenly, everything changed. So welcome to the world of the professionals.
Fantastic, fantastic. So when you had so many people in the house cycling, so how many bikes you had in the garage, and was there space for the car still in the garage, or the car was outside and only there was a bike place?
There was never a place for a car. There was never a place for a car. In our garage, there were, all kinds of bikes, just hanging around and standing in corners. And then, my older brother, who was 9 years older, he was basically, the family mechanic, and everything when everything was broken, or when my stuff was broken. So it was quite a cool time at home. Yeah.
And how was it? Okay, so he was the mechanic and you had to make the punctures or fix the punctures, or how was this working? Because you're the youngest, so you had any chores you didn't like and they make you do some stuff because you were the youngest?
Well, I was the youngest, but there's 9 years different, so you can imagine that, Frank is 5 years and then there's another 4 years to Steve. There were quite a rough time at home, quite different interests from age to age group.
Yes.
Actually, he really took care, and he was really, going around and when I was 13, 14 years and renting, lending stuff from friends, because I had an important race, which he considered an important race, and made clear that everything was ready at the start line from the race. So I was lucky because my brothers, they liked nice stuff. When there was something important, I just, get the wheels and the stuff of them, which not always was happy. Sometimes I went to a start and I had the wrong gears. I was not allowed to start because they were already allowed, to ride, and or I didn't ask them. I just took their wheels and then they made the gear control, and I was disqualified because I was not allowed to go on an 11. So that was in the house of Schleck. There was quite some tension sometimes. Yeah.
But do you feel that made you stronger? I can imagine, obviously, this fighting, this constant battle. Is this something you feel like helped you to your career because you had to go through this?
Yes, definitely. I mean, 100%. I mean, I was training already with my brothers, and they didn't want to train because I couldn't follow. So I said, well, come on. I was, 12 years old. I said, I can do 90 kilometers. Why shouldn't I? And then, I followed them, and I suffered through these kilometers already quite early, which I believe, was a really good school to go through. Not just, for the body, of course, but, just in the, to keep mindset right. And, these thoughts, went through my whole career, I believe, and still today. Yeah.
Very good. I have 3 older brothers, so I know what you've gone through. Yeah. So it was always for me as well, somebody to keep up with them and try to challenge myself and living up to their expectations. Good. I think I heard once you said something very nice about your brother. Obviously, you were racing together and super successful, that you were competing a lot with him, but never in a race. In a race, you were always riding as one. And I thought that was just a beautiful thing to say. So how was it when you were riding together?
Yeah, I mean, Frank and me, that's really, a unique story. This, the connections we had in the races, or just I would say in general, which we had on the bike, was really unique, and it was not fake. We had a lot of time, a lot of people, they said, yeah, they like to make a story out of this brotherhood, but it was really true, so we are really competitive still today in everything what we do. If we go fishing, if we do, if we run together, if we do anything we do together, we're really competitive two characters. And we are, both alpha males, we like to guide, we like to lead, and we like to win. But we trained basically every day together, and we had, like, from young on age, we had like this gentleman agreement that, we go hard and we go to the limit. But if we see that someone is weaker, we were not allowed to tell, and we were never allowed to drop each other in training.
Okay.
And in the races, we were, there was not me going to the start or him going to the start. We went to the start. We went to the signing together. We went to the start together, and in the race we had this communication and between us, which was, first of all, quite cool, because there's very few professionals who speak Luxembourgish in the pro peloton. So you know, we didn't need any microphone. We just could shout at each other, and you know, they were like, "What the hell are they talking about now? New tactics or something?" And you know, when there was the moment where it was getting critical in a race, often, you know, the decision, you know, we didn't even need to talk about the decision who's going to be the leader for that day or who's going to be the strongest. That was just, you know, instantly clear. Yeah.
Very nice.
And we did make it to the podium, you know, together to Paris. So that's really unique as well.
Yes. Yes. I think that never, I'm not sure in history if this ever happened that somebody was second and third in the Tour, two brothers, I think.
No, we were the first. We were the first.
Fantastic. I saw you at Eurobike. I can't remember which year it was. It was after the Tour de France, the Eurobike, and you were super, super slim. Yeah. And I know you're 186 tall, so you're quite tall. And you had 68 kilos. What was your race weight after the weight you had after the Tour de France?
Yeah, well, 68 was my winter weight. 68. In the Tour, I went down to 66, 65 after the Tour. But yeah, that's not, I don't recommend anyone to do that. And I mean, you know, it's not out of any, you know, beauty contest. I did that, and it was also, I didn't do any diet, you know. This was just natural for me. I mean, you know, you train, you know, 35,000 kilometers a year, plus all the calories you burn, you know, in the race, you know, and then you have sprinters who are, of course, a little bit more heavier. But I basically was, you know, yeah, skinny climber, and you know, it was not out of any beauty contest. I wasn't that weight. It was just, you know, to perform and you know, to climb better the hills.
Very good. Something technical. I saw that you're riding 172.5 cranks. Is this true?
Yes.
Okay.
Always did.
Because you're quite tall, and at that time it was considered a longer crank was better. I think now today it's a bit of a trend to go shorter, but how did you discover a shorter crank like that?
Well, I did try to go 175, but you know, we did tests, you know, in the climbs, of course, you know. So we did this. We had a power meter, and we did set, you know, on a 20 minutes climb, you know, to do a max test. And we did the same test, you know, with different gears, even wheels, or so. We always had this idea, you know, that okay, lighter wheels, the faster you on top, but your watts, you know, your power should not change. You know, it doesn't matter which wheels you have. And I just could see that with 175 long cranks, I could not develop the same power than I did with 172.5. That's why also, not even in time trials, I changed crank lengths. You have a lot of riders in time trials, they go, you know, longer in the cranks, they go to 175. For me, it was not an option because, you know, simply if you know, I can develop the same power output, there's no need to change anything. And the 72.5 seemed working well for me.
Interesting, because today is a bit of a trend, and we see a trend of going shorter cranks, because it obviously allows a little bit improvements when it comes to bike fitting and so on. But I thought it's quite an interesting fact, because at that time it wasn't as popular. I want to, can you take us back to the Tour de France? Yeah, this is for me something I remember. And I came 2002 to Dubai. And when you started racing, this was kind of the midst of our shop being developed. We watched the Tour de France, we introduced people to the sport. And then seeing you racing up these mountains in the Tour was for me always something special. Yeah, it always felt like you were always on the attack. You were always trying to put the race, take it in your hands. You were not waiting for anyone. You were pushing forward. So obviously 2009, 2010, 2011 were great success stories for you. 2 times runner-up, 1 time you won the race. So what are the memories you have from the tours?
Yeah, you know, for me, it might take a while, my answer, because I need to start from the beginning, because this is a little bit the difference. I believe, you know, I was different compared to other riders. For me, you know, I have 2 brains, you know, it's one up here and it's one in the stomach, you know. So the one up there is, you know, to see where the road goes, and the one in the stomach is the one who tells you, you know, now you attack and now you go. So I go to the race, and there was for me never a my contract was never on motivation, you know. When I was, you know, 19 years old, I went to the first race. I didn't care about my paycheck, you know, and it never really laid on, you know, when I became good and, you know, I had good salaries and good contracts. You know, still the passion was always there. Like when you are a young rider, you know, when I was a young rider, I just want to finish the race to show that I can finish the race. I just want to be in front to you know, to get fame, to get, you know, show my ego. And, you know, this part always was there during my career. So, you know, when you have this in yourself in a race, in a critical situation, you know, you need to go with the feeling, you know, because it was my feeling who brought me there, you know, to these points where I was able to decide the race, where I was able to, you know, to drop others, where I was able to you know, put pain in others' lungs and legs, you know. So that's why, you know, you need to have the passion, you know, and everyone, you know, have the passion to ride. And you see different riders in the peloton. You see these riders, you know, they are really calculated. You know, they really, you know, they perform every 2 years. You know, when they need to get a new contract, you know, suddenly they perform again and they sign again a good 3 years deals. But you also have the other riders. Like perfect example is Valverde. You know, yeah. He's out there. He's, you know, running with the gut feeling. You know, and you know, I think that's the beauty of cycling, and I had that always. You know, it didn't matter, you know, what my paycheck was in the end of the year, because for me, you know, there was no value on the victory of a stage in the Tour de France. For me, that was, you know, that need to be a passion, and you know, basically that's how I wrote my whole career. You know, I never thought about, you know, what is if I lose, you know, but because if I lose, you know, it was my feeling who told me, now you go. It was my stomach who told me, now you try it. And, you know, many times I've failed, you know, people always only remember the victories or the glory moments. But, you know, I lost more races than I won. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter, you know.
Yes. No, very good. I like that a lot. Yeah, very good. Who was your biggest rival in the races, and where did you take the biggest motivation from when you were racing?
My biggest rival was, of course, Alberto Contador all the time. I mean, and I'm really glad he was there. Without sounding arrogant, or I don't want to get a wrong vision out of me, but, you know, if Alberto would not have been there, I would have won easily 3 Tour de France's. Because there was only me and him, you know, at the time. Yeah. Now I won only one. He won the other one. But, you know, I'm still really glad he was there, because the story would have not been the same. You know, people remember, you know, the epic moments where we battled in the climbs, and so does he, you know. But his victories would not have been the same, you know, if I was not there, you know, to kick his ass once in a while up the hills and stress him, you know. And that's what, you know, makes epic moments in cycling. That's a rivalry with someone. And you know, this is actually only him I see who was really there in the important races, was the big rival for me. But I'm really glad he was there.
You have a good relation with him? Do you meet sometimes?
It goes like up and down. During the career, you know, you fight each other, you hurt each other, you know, you try to take advantage, you know, if someone have a bad day. So, and again, you know, we were two leaders, and, you know, we are two very, very strong characters. So we will never be, you know, the best buddies. That just doesn't go together. But actually, we had a time where we didn't had any contact anymore, out of different reasons. But like last year, mid-November, we met up in Shanghai, because we had an event there together. And it was the first time where we sat together and drank a beer. And it was really, really joyful. You know, we really enjoyed ourselves, and we talked about these old times. In the beginning, it was still, you know, a bit cold, the relation. But then, you know, we went basically both home after that trip, and, you know, put everything down on equal again. And yeah, it was good. But we are not the best friends, you know, and we will never be the best buddies, but that doesn't need to be. I respect him a lot, and he does respect me a lot, and you know, that's the most important.
Okay. From a spectator point of view, I have to tell you, it was always amazing to see the battles you had, and going I remember obviously the time when there was an issue with the technical side on the chain, and then you tried to catch up again, and then there was the next day Tourmalet. I think the weather was really bad, and you came together to the top, and I think you just clapped him on his back, and I thought that was actually quite a nice moment when you felt like after that day before where we didn't really understand what was the situation, and then the next day I think it seemed to be like a really fair competition between the both of you.
Yeah, I mean that chain gate incident was, of course, he didn't really he didn't do a fair play that day. I mean, you don't do that. And for me, I was really angry after that stage. And then the next day, all the spectators on the side of the road, they were just booing at him and kind of shouting at him, and they were all on my side of the game, and I didn't really like that. But I didn't do anything for him until he came to me and was at least honest with me, because in the beginning he told me that he didn't see me, that he didn't saw that my chain dropped. So I said, well, at least you can, I don't mind if you attack when I drop my chain, but at least tell it to me in my face. So after that stage, he said, hey, listen, Andy, it is a stress moment yesterday. I attacked because I wanted to take the yellow jersey. Of course, I saw that your chain dropped, and for me, it was my opportunity to take the yellow jersey. And that was fine with me. So that evening, I took my guts, and I went to the French national TV and Eurosport for a small press meeting, and I pleased all the spectators to return to normal, that we have spoken, and I don't think it's such a beautiful sport. We shouldn't boo to anyone, and also not to him and not to me, and that we are clear. And that was actually really much appreciated by him, and also really much appreciated by the people. And it was okay. The day after, the race was on again without any booing or yelling at him.
Mm-hmm. Is there one special day or one special mountain you have, which you said this was always a special mountain for me? I really enjoyed going up that mountain.
No, you never enjoy going up the mountain at the speed we go. But I do have one favorite mountain, which is the Mont Ventoux in France. It's not in the Alps, it's on the Pyrenees, it's basically in the middle of nowhere. It's bloody hard, 18 kilometers, and I loved doing that climb in the races because it suits me perfectly. And I just believe, it's one of the hardest climbs. And why do I love it? Because I had really good legs, when I went up. I went up after my career one more time, 1.5 years back from now, with different feelings. I made it to the top, of course, but I was depressed because I was like almost 1 hour slower than I was 6 years ago. But I stopped in the middle, and we in the group, but I just realized then how hard this climb is. When you're a pro, you go into a climb and, you are full of adrenaline, especially when it's a finishing climb. You are full of adrenaline and basically you die in these climbs, and you are ready to die in the climbs. And when you go up now, I have a big lack of motivation, to make it to the top of these mountains again.
Obviously it's unbelievable for somebody watching in TV, seeing the spectators lining up these mountains. How is it when you see today how this works in cycling? You wish you would have gone back there in time and be successful again, or how was it too stressful for you when these people were screaming in your ears?
No, not at all. I mean, this is something I missed in the beginning of my retirement. Honestly speak, this is a rough time. When you stop your professional career from, being a star, being a top athlete, being respected for your performance. Somehow you develop your identity is your bike. Your identity. This isn't a normal thing. You're not Andy Schleck. The guy who lives in that apartment building or in that house. You are Andy Schleck, the cyclist. So your career, your fame gives you a whole different identity, and you get used to that. You get used to that really quickly.
Now we lost you again. Sorry, we are live. I think my internet, I hope it's coming back. Sorry for that. I still have a connection. Sorry for this, guys. Andy, can you hear us? Okay, no. Now, okay, now we have the technician back. Very good. We have you back.
Okay, perfect. So what did you heard last? Sorry for
just talking about obviously the spectators and how it was to see going up these climbs, and then end of your career that you felt like it was difficult to because cycling was your life and suddenly this was not there anymore.
Yeah. So what I mean, when you are a famous athlete and you compete, in these races, and you are basically you are a star. You create your identity. It's you as a bike rider. You get the yellow jersey on, and people like you, or you think people like you, but you don't realize the yellow jersey is just a label they put on your shoulder. It changes sometimes every day, it changes every year, and certainly, it changes every decade. Huh? So you need to be careful when you're an athlete that you should not identify yourself too much with that, because I was still the same the year after when I didn't wear the yellow jersey anymore. But people, had the respect of me because I had this label yellow on my shoulders. And, when I retired, I had nothing. I thought I had nothing anymore because I had no professional contract anymore. I had no fans anymore. I had no fame anymore. So in the beginning, you really needed time, to get used to it. And that was also when I realized, hey, these people, cheering at me, sometimes this private jet I had and the private driver from the airport to the hotel, that was never meant for me. That was meant for the guy with the yellow jersey. And, when I realized that, I start to, I woke up basically and said, hey, actually, I'm alive, I'm healthy, I'm good off. I had a nice career. And, now I do something different and came back into life. I mean, I was always good. I was never like in any trouble, but that's when I started, planning a business and what can I do from now on, and rediscovered myself basically.
Mm-hmm. But your passion for cycling obviously led you as well then to make the decision to open up a bicycle shop in 2016. So how long did it take to make these ideas come to reality?
That was quite quick. I mean, after my career, I only realized how much I love this sport. Today, I'm a big fan. I still, work actively in the Tour de France and host a lot of events, travel around the world. But it's always somehow related to, not always, but most of the time somehow related to cycling. But the plans for the shop were there quite quickly. I want to make a unique bike shop. I want to, not just be, a sales point. I want it to be, a real meeting point for cyclists where we live bike, where we ride bike, where we sell bike, where we talk bike. And yeah, so I put everything on paper. It took me, something more than 3-4 months. Business plan, of course, is important. But for me, it was more important, what someone who loves cycling and loves riding a bike, what does he want to see when he comes into a shop? What does he want to have? Which conversation, which material, and of course, what's the atmosphere? So I tried my best. I'm sitting now here. We have a small museum where I have old bikes, Olympic bikes from me, Tour de France bikes for me, jerseys from my teammates, and yeah, I believe it's quite a success so far.
Very nice. Well done. Well done. So, do you think it's harder to run a bicycle shop or win the Tour de France?
It's a difficult question. Well, running a bike shop, it's a tough business. You know, it's a tough business. You need to make decisions. It's actually, you know, really similar. You know, I apply all my rules today, you know, with my staff, with in the shop, the same rules, you know, than I applied, you know, in my team, you know, to go into the Tour de France. You know, the respect, the commitment, you know, the you know, we have bad days, we have good periods, we have bad periods, and you know, we go through together as a team. So the rules are the same, but yeah, I gotta disappoint you, but you know, doing a Tour de France, you know, it's a war, huh?
Yeah.
You know, you wake up in the morning with a headache, and you know, you go to bed with a headache, and you know, the stress. But then again, I would still say doing a Tour de France, you know, is harder than running a bike shop. But also, you know, there's only one Tour de France, and there's a million bike shops all over the world. So let's compare it.
So you take your team as well for team camps? You do team building events? You take them to Denmark and set them out in the middle of the winter?
No, unfortunately not. But we do it on a different basis, you know. So for me, you know, it's really, I mean, I'm the boss, of course, and I decide the decisions. But I really do apply the same rules as a pro site, same than I did in the team, you know. So I respect my staff, you know. I'm not. Sometimes I take the broom, you know, when they are busy, you know, and I clean the kitchen, you know, and I do all these kinds of stuff, because, you know, I want to leave an impact on them, because if they see me doing it, you know, maybe they follow in the future, you know, and they say, hey, he's cool, you know, he takes the broom and he takes the vacuum cleaner and vacuum cleans the shop. But the respect and the commitment, you know, is the most important for me, you know, because if they come here in the morning, you know, and we work, you know, every day 8 or 9 or 10 hours together, you know, it's important that they come and they feel comfortable. You know, that's the most important, because I think if they come here and they say, okay, we go to our colleagues to do our 8-hour job, and at 6 in the evening, you know, the pen just falls down and they exit the door. You know, that's not a good atmosphere, you know. But if they come now and they say, okay, we go to Andy because he's our boss, but he's also our friend, you know, and the colleagues, you know, it's a family, you know, we eat almost every lunch together, you know, once in a week, you know, after the shop, you know, we close the doors and we laugh for another hour and have a drink together and sit together. And that's what I believe, you know, creates a good atmosphere. And our clientele feels that, you know.
Yes.
They like to be here, you know. They like to get served by one of us, because you know we are cool guys, and we you know, we have a good atmosphere, and we are friends, you know. Even there's always one who's the boss, and maybe the one is the shop manager, and the other one is the mechanic, but we are one team, and we are one, and we are a bunch of friends, and the clientele definitely, you know, feels that, and that's good for business.
Very good. I like that. I think that's the attitude of a champion. Like, you've become a Tour de France champion, and I think you've become one of the best shops in the world. And I think that's a good attitude. Yeah, fantastic.
But I do, Wolfi.
Yes.
We met in November, and I asked you a lot of questions, you know.
Yes.
What do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, so I'm always open, you know, to hear new ideas and different ideas, and I'm willing to share as well. So, you know, I think that's also important, that like a cyclist, but also now as a young entrepreneur, you know, that you know, don't shut your eyes like a horse who have the eye sheets on, that you listen and be aware, you know, because I'm not the only one.
Yes. So the moment we're offline, we can trade some business secrets. Or when you go on holiday, or I make it maybe to Luxembourg. I have a date set in my eyes for the event you're doing. Let me check. This is the Gran Fondo, Andy Schleck Gran Fondo at 2021 and 29th of May. So maybe that's something I should aim for. I need to train, and then we can go ride our bikes. It's how many hours we're going to sit on the bike to ride, and we can talk about business secrets.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 situation, we had to cancel it for this year. It's the Schleck Gran Fondo, so it's actually my brother Frank's organization, but we do it together. We basically, do our all training routes. It's a tough one, you know. It's not an easy fondo. It's a tough one, you know. It's a lot of altitude meters. You have a 90-kilometer loop and a 160. Wolfi, you're going to do the 160 with me. I guide you to the beautiful countryside, you know, of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, and we will enjoy, have fun. And I can guarantee you a unique, beautiful experience. We started the first year with 1,500 participants. Last year was the third edition. We were full booked with 4,000 subscribers. This year it's nothing but 2021. The date is there. So if you don't sign up, I will put the back number on site now tonight for you, 2021.
Very good. Now we can for sure share something in our social media that people can get involved in this. And I know as well you're involved in a lot of other events. There's a tour president, you're the president of the Skoda Tour for Luxembourg Tour 2020, which is happening as well this year in September, 16 to 19. So what's happening there?
Yeah, well, that's a pro race. So it's just below the World Tour. It's the Pro Series. So, you know, with the big teams. It's a race. It's now the 80th edition. So it got a big history. I took the presidency 3 years ago and try, you know, to make it a little bit a step up, you know, in the ranking, which I achieved because this year we are officially, you know, in the Pro Series, live broadcasted on Eurosport and different other channels. So basically it's like the Tour de France, but just through Luxembourg with 20 teams, probably between, you know, 6 and 8 World Tour teams. And yeah, the main sponsor of the event is Skoda. That's why it's a Skoda Tour of Luxembourg. And this is a big challenge for me, you know, to keep that race alive. We are a small organization. We are a non-profitable organization, you know, but it's a race I watched always from a kid on. So I took over the race 3 years ago to, you know, keep it alive and make it big again.
Fantastic. Yeah, looking forward to see it in Eurosport. I think everybody is obviously waiting that the season starts again, or the restart of the season, to see all the professionals to get you all out again. And you have a ladies team. We met them in Dubai. We had this year the first UCI official racing team for lady or racing league. So your team was there as well. So you're involved as well to support female cycling.
Yes, a lot. When I opened the shop, this was one of my main topics. This ladies team is quite a funny story because it started out of an idea, you know, because we said, okay, we need to do something, you know, to get ladies better involved in cycling. You know? So we created, actually, we have every Saturday cappuccino ride. So we said, okay, we found out that sometimes, you know, on open roads, girls don't want to ride with men because the girls, they want to ride with girls. We found that quite quick. So we did, you know, rides women's only. We did workshops, you know, in the evening where we only invite, where only women were allowed. So to create a little bit of different community to the normal men cycling community, and actually quite successful. So then we started with we had a cappuccino ride every Saturday. So we started doing once a month a latte ride, which we called the latte ride, which was only women riding with women. And yeah, out of that idea, we said, why don't we try to make a small team in order, you know, to get more awareness just in Luxembourg, you know, a women's team. So we sponsored a small women's team. Out of that small team, you know, it's still not a big team, but, you know, we have now international riders riding there, and they compete on the international level. And yeah, they have fun. And basically in the beginning, the idea was just to get more awareness for our women's community, but the team had a lot of success. So, you know, we have riders from Sweden, from Finland, who want to ride for that team. And yeah, today, I mean, they are all on hold, like the whole season, but this is something actually started already 4 years ago, the idea of that team. And since last year, it's actually a UCI team.
Very good, fantastic. We have, obviously people can send in questions as well. We're monitoring this. So one question we got here is, are you riding with the women on the cappuccino ride? They want to ride with you to take some pictures with Andy?
No, but when we do the workshops or after they finish their rides, they all welcome. They all get, a drink or a coffee. Then I'm there. No, but I don't ride with them. This is women's only. So we have actually, women's guides, who guide them, who make the loop. The loop is fixed. You can see it on Strava, and then they ride together, and it's really, really good because we have a lot of people who came in. Yeah, we might like to ride our bike, but we are scared alone. They said, no problem. Often women, they are sometimes more scared. So I said, no worries. Come to the workshop. We teach you, the basics. This is all for free. The workshops are all for free. We teach you the basics about the bikes, about the pedal, what's important, and then maybe you start with the 30-kilometer ride with the latte, and then very quickly you improve in cycling. And suddenly they become fascinated, and suddenly they really join that community and love it. Yeah.
I like the idea that you obviously are so interested in to get people on the right bikes. You're trying to do so much for the community. Really love. I think that's a great idea, and I think that's a really a part of the success we have felt here as well to organize the rides and to do something for the community. I think is very, very helpful. Is there something on your bucket list you still want to achieve? Because obviously you're quite a competitive person. Is there something you want to, as a person or as a sports person, you want to achieve?
Well, honestly, I not really as an athlete. I mean, I'm not an athlete anymore. I ride my bike. I'm still, I don't have the condition anymore, but I still have the power. So. With 2 weeks of training, Wolfi, not even you, will drop me. So
I got it in Dubai, and honestly, I was very, very impressed. Yeah, because obviously the group is not a world tour race, but I think they started very quickly, and I think it looked really easy for you to get through the group. And I hardly looked, and you were gone, and you were at the front, and you were riding, and obviously this ride starts quickly, and I can imagine everybody wants to show off his form when they have a Tour de France champion with them. So you are still in good condition. Yeah, I felt I was really impressed.
Yeah, I had a good go the months before. So I was riding quite a lot the months before. And then, but it's flat. I'm not 68 kilos anymore or 66 kilos anymore. I don't enjoy the climbs anymore, but I like to ride, fast on the flat. So this was actually a perfect race for me. But no, sportive wise, I have no more, intention of doing any Ironmans or marathons. Not now. It might change. I mean, you have a goal, and ideas change over time, and that's fine. But for now, not really. On the personal side, I have a lot of things I like to achieve. I mentioned I'm a young entrepreneur. I believe, I'm very awake. What's going on out there. So, there's still some stuff I like to do, and I'm only 30. I'm only turning 35 in June, so there's still time.
Maybe this is actually good that you stopped your career a little earlier and you still had the energy left in you, and now you have a successful business where maybe others they go a few years longer, and then maybe it's difficult. I think that the options are maybe not as much. You still have some good years left to really create your business and everything. I think that's a good. Maybe it was a good move looking back.
Yeah, sometimes in life, you something happened, and you just don't see what's going on. But then looking backwards, you can connect some dots, and now I think when you are 30, when you want to start a new business, it's different when you are 40 and you want to start a new business. When you are 40, it's not, you're not old, of course, but you might not have the willpower anymore, to invest your money in something which is, of course, which can fail. I'm always talking that I have a successful business, but honestly speaking, it's a tough business, and you know how it is when you start a new business, and I didn't start small, I started big. It takes a few time, it takes a few years, to get the machine rolling. But that's how it is, but that's also what makes it exciting.
Yes, absolutely. Is there a famous person, if you had one day where you could change your life and be that famous person, or any person, and you could live their life for a day? Is there someone you would pick?
Yeah, I would like to be Wolfi for one day.
Okay, we can do that. We can sit next to me one day. Very good. Thank you very much.
No, honestly, not really. No, not really. No, not really. I don't. I mean, yeah, maybe I want to be. I don't know. I would like to know the feeling. You know, when you are a top guitar player on stage with 50,000 people cheering at you. But I don't know. I don't. I never ask myself that question, honestly.
Very good. And music, is music something important? What's on your playlist? What's on your Spotify playlist?
Basically, I'm really, really open-minded there. You know, I listen. I do love concerts because my whole career I never went to concerts or anything or music festivals. So I only really discovered that after my career through my wife, because she's really into music. And actually, you know, I go to different music festivals all over the world. The last 3 years, and I love it. But on the playlist, there's basically, you know, Spotify top hits, today or best hits today, and then I listen through them. Some I like, some I don't. Yeah.
Very good, fantastic. If you had a time machine, would you go forward to see what the future will bring to you, or would you go back to maybe change something or relive something again? Which direction would you go?
I would, out of curiosity, I probably would go forward to see, you know, if I'm bankrupt in 10 years, maybe stop, close the shop tomorrow. Looking backwards, I mean, I did some mistakes, but why do I did mistakes? You know, because I had this gut feeling who led me to do it. You know, if you come to a crossing, you go left or right, and you go left, there's something who tells you, you know, that you should go left. So, no, I don't have real regrets. I mean, you know, I'm sitting here today. I'm healthy. I didn't do big mistakes. I did maybe small mistakes, but they are all, you know, forgotten, and I'm over it. And like I just mentioned, I believe, you know, that you do mistakes, and out of mistakes, you know, it's always, you know, something. If one door closes, another opens, and the mistakes, you know, makes you, you know, teach you to not do them anymore.
Very good. I have one question. Somebody said, what's the best concert you ever visited? What's something you really remember?
Last year, and I traveled to Los Angeles and went to the Coachella music festival.
Yes.
With my wife, which was an amazing experience. And basically, you know, standing there in the desert, you know, and just, you know, that was really, really cool. You know, this was something, when I think back, I get goosebumps. You know, it was, you know, such a nice scenery. And, you know, that was basically the final song. The final concert was Adriana Grande. Not that I like her, but it was just like, you know, she was the head concert. And, you know, it's just this, you know, 300,000 people, you know, looking in one direction and applauding, you know, for one person on stage. That was really, really special and really cool to see. You know, even I'm not a big fan of her music, but I love that one.
Did people recognize you? Somebody noticed Andy Schleck, or you were dressed up? Because Coachella is obviously as well kind of a hippie style festival.
Yeah, not really. That's Burning Man. There I don't go, because the Burning Man, that's like a really, really hippie. Coachella is hip hop. No, but you know, was just a small cyclist. You know, I'm not any, you know, musician, star or movie actors. But no one realized me. Only the people who knew I was coming, you know, and took me a little bit backstage and VIP area and presented then, and then suddenly people start to realize. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's not a real cycling world at Coachella. It's a music world, you know.
Very good. I was at Rammstein last year, and it was really cool. Yeah, so if you like that kind of music, but this show and everything, and the power of music, it was just unbelievable. So it was one of the cool concerts.
You were in Luxembourg last year.
Again?
You were in Luxembourg last year.
Okay, and is this your kind of music or not?
I mean, I don't mind it if I would have been here, but I was somewhere in some part of the world at that point. But I heard that I would have gone there, but I heard it was actually a really amazing show to do. Huh?
Yes.
Even if you don't like the music, you know, you got to be. They blow you away, literally.
Absolutely. Yeah, literally.
Wow.
Do you have a special skill outside obviously cycling? Do you have a party trick where you impress people, or is being a Tour de France winner enough?
No, I believe, special skill. I can do a wheelie on the road bike.
Okay, we can't see this now. I thought you can show something.
No, I'm a good fisherman, but for the rest, I have no real other, magic trick or something.
Good.
I can fascinate my kids, because I tell them I take Smarties out of their ears.
Okay.
So I just go behind with the Smarties and I pull them out and I said, look, when you.
Very good, fantastic. I have a few sentences prepared and I would like you to finish them.
Yeah.
The best day of my career was?
Podium with my brother in Paris, yeah.
The hardest day of my career was?
The day of the press conference where I had to tell the cycling world, the world, that I retire.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to the end of the confinement, that the world goes back to normal again.
I can ride my bike faster than
you.
Brother?
Then
Sorry.
you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good. Okay. I wish I had.
I wish I had. Well, I cannot answer that. What do I wish myself?
This is nice. I think we can leave it at that. I think this is a fantastic. If you don't have a wish, you just have in your head. I think that's really cool.
No, I'm full of wishes, but I wish I had. There's nothing I would like to.
No, that's good.
Yeah, let's leave it like that.
Yes, no, very nice. Yeah. And I really love it when?
I really love it when it's sunshine and it's Sunday morning and I can take my bike and leave my kids at home and just, go out and enjoy the nature and riding my bike.
Nice. Who do you think is the biggest cyclist of all times?
Yeah, definitely. Everybody probably says Eddy Merckx. This is also what I believe. I would say Eddy Merckx, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Who do you think is the biggest upcoming talent at the moment in cycling?
For me, it's Mathieu van der Poel. Because he got amazing skills. He got a style on the bike which is really unique, which I haven't seen before at anyone. He looks to me, and I believe I have a really, really good eye to see talents. If he just sitting on the bike, standing on the start line, I can see the class that guy have. So he's maybe the next Eddy Merckx.
Okay. And who do you think will win the Tour de France in 2020?
Yeah, it's difficult to say. It's going to be a really strange tour, the 2020 tour, because there are countries people can train outside. France, they couldn't train outside. They were really locked down. And still Turbo Trainer and Swift and Whoosh and Full Gas and all these apps are good, but it doesn't really replace the real world out there. You don't get the feeling on the bike than when you're riding on the road. So I would say, Egan Bernal looks really good to me. Mm-hmm. He got the right mindset, and he was there last year, and he lives far away where they can train, and he spent a lot of time now in Colombia, on the altitude, which is also a big benefit. So all these factors coming together, I believe he is the man to beat. Chris Froome, it's started the season in Dubai. First and last race, unfortunately for him so far, which gives him maybe a little bit more time to recover. But the gap is really, really long from his, the gap. Mm-hmm. The gap was already long from where he crashed to the first race, a long way to recover. He obviously wasn't feeling very well in Dubai, which is, you know, more than normal. But now again, you know, 6 months
break.
You know, you got to be really, really, really strong-minded, you know, to keep on pushing yourself through that time. On the other hand, it gives him maybe a little bit more time to recover, but I don't see him ready in the Tour. Geraint Thomas is busting nuts on Swift, doing 300 Ks, but again, I don't think it replaces the real training. So my favorite for 2020 is Egan Bernal.
Very good. Fantastic. Some quick ones as well. Socks, you wear long or short socks?
On the bike or?
On the bike.
Long.
Chamois cream, yes or no?
No.
Shaving your legs?
Yes. I need to shave my legs. I don't. If I don't shave my legs, I'm looking in the shower. I'm like, these are not my legs.
This is wrong. Yeah, very good.
So this guy.
And if you race with a power meter, or do you ride with a power meter, or you just ride by feeling?
Now, today?
Yes.
No power meter. No, that's over and out.
Okay, so you just go for a ride, enjoy, and go by feeling.
I go by feeling, and most of the time, you know, when I go, I don't ride for 2 weeks, and then I go, you know, with the group who rides basically every day. So, you know, they are my feeling then, you know, because I need to follow them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you write a book of your career and a memoirs, what will be the title of the book?
Oh, that's a good question, because I was thinking about that. You know, I had a few opportunities to write a book, and I didn't do it because I believe I have a really unique story to tell. And since I do a lot of you know, private events where, you know, companies book me to do motivation speeches, and I like to, you know, just tell my story, not write it in a book. But I was thinking, you know, I had a joyful career. I had a lot of, you know, really a lot of fun, you know, with my teammates. You know, it can be in a hotel room, it can be out training, you know, it can, when we were, you know, in a survivor camp together, you know. So I was thinking, why don't make a book, you know, and just tell the funny stories in my career with my teammates in the peloton, in the Tour de France, and on and off the side, you know, just the funny stories, you know, and anecdotes. So probably it would be Andy's World or something like that. I don't know.
Very good.
But no one have done that yet.
What's a funny story coming to mind right now? Can you give us one? We're going to all buy the book, but just maybe give us one of the funny stories you had in the peloton.
Does everybody knows Jens Vogt?
Yes.
Yes. I had him on the phone just before, and we actually talked about that story again. He was in the Tour de France, and he was out in the breakaway, and suddenly he crashed. And then, well, we hear it, and it was an important stage. It was going up to Plateau de Bay, but he crashed, and we heard clearly he's okay, he's back up. So we are just about to catch him back, and he takes the next corner, and he crashes again. And he landed in some kind of dishes, you know. So he had all the you know, from the bush, you know. I told him, Jens, you look like a truffle pig. Like a truffle pig, and you know, and actually he got dropped because he couldn't stop laughing anymore on the bike. And we talked about today, because I said, hey, truffle pig, how are you? Because he was ditching with the helmet, you know, into the ground like a pig searching for the truffles. And yeah, that was hilarious. You know, another one, he told us, he was coming to Tour of Luxembourg one year, and he was miserable. He couldn't follow the peloton anymore. I said, what is going on with Jens? You know, it's not his style. And in the bus, he was sitting alone. He didn't talk to anyone, really like a depressed feeling he gave, you know. So I said, no, I don't want to talk about it. So we go all home, you know, after the race, and we go to Tour of Swiss, and we go up the Großglockner. And, you know, it was in the beginning of the stage. So, you know, everyone is a kind of suffering, but, you know, it's not really hard, it's not really slow, you know, and was this heat, you know. And suddenly over the radio, Jens goes, so guys, you think this is hard? Are you suffering? And be like, what is he talking now? Do you think your life is hard? Are you suffering? It's like, yeah, well, it's kind of sticky here, yeah. And he goes over the microphone in the radio, said, You want to know what is a hard life? My wife is pregnant for the 6th kid. I knew that these are, a few stories out of the Yenti book.
Fantastic. I think it's going to be a good seller, the book. Yeah.
I should think about it. Yeah.
Yes. Is there a favorite quote you have and you live by? Anything you feel like is really something, a sentence which defines your life?
I had always on the top tube of my bikes one sentence. Is this, don't dream your life, live your dream. It's just a quote, and it's sometimes really, really tough and sometimes impossible to follow that quote, but at least, I keep it in mind because I believe it's a good quote, if we don't move, if we don't, react, or if we don't act, the people are today so comfortable, they always wait until tomorrow because maybe tomorrow something changed, something, let's leave it until tomorrow. But if you don't act, the day before, the day after, you wake up and everything is still the same. So I tell that a lot to students, that you really, don't waste your time. You maybe, hopefully you get 100 years old, but, react and move and, follow your dream and don't, stay in bed dreaming, but try to live it. It's a small quote, but, it goes somewhere, somehow deep. And you read it, this is, easy to write, but it's hard to live. But if you don't try, you can never know.
Oh, very good. I think that's a nice sentence to end our conversation. I think this is really, really good. Andy, I think you're a really, really cool guy. And I really thank you for that time. And I think you're a Tour de France champion, but still you're a very humble person. I like how you run your business. And when we met in Dubai, I think you have been very approachable and very nice. And when I called you, you replied within seconds to say, hey, yes, I'm on. I'm happy to tell my story. And I really, really appreciate this. And I wish you all the best for your business and hope we see us next year riding a bike. So maybe before you come for holiday, if travel is allowed again. And I'm happy to share some secrets of business. And I'm happy to stay in contact and we exchange some information. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wolfi. If I'm back in Dubai, I call you and we go and have a nice dinner together, right?
Yes, we will. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Thank you, Andy. Have a good evening.
You too.
Have a nice talk on Monday. We have a very special guest who is, I think, one of the legends in terms of information. He's Josh Portner, and he's from Silka. He owns the company, but he has been in development for SIP for many, many years, and he's a vast of knowledge he has and to share with us. So I think it's going to be an interesting story. So please join us on Monday for Wolfi's Talks, 7 o'clock in Dubai time for the story with Josh Portner. Yeah, he has as well a very cool podcast, which is Marginal Gains podcast. So that's going to be a good talk as well. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.